The following program contains adult language, poor taste in jokes, racial slurs, political slurs, slants, and all sorts of things that if you are sensitive and have a delicate constitution, you should probably go watch Teletubbies. You were warned.
Hey kids, welcome back to Roto Talk.
Hey kids, welcome back. Happy Monday. There is such a thing. So, my original plan was to maiden the new skiff today because she's ready to go. But it's like 45 degrees out and windy and I'm just not in the mood to be wet. So tomorrow's supposed to be like 55, 60. We're going to do some maidens tomorrow. Maybe this one too. I don't know. So this is the last of the build videos for the G30 Zippkits Tunnel Haul, I think. We'll see. So as you can see, I can't remember if I showed you guys this or not. But I got it painted. I painted it a week ago, and I actually had mixed this color. This is a custom mix I did. Now I am colorblind, so but I had the wife's help. This was actually to match a guitar that I was redoing. I had a lot left over, so we came out purple or whatever color this is. Got a little bit of dirt on it. So cut the decals, clear coated it. Which turned out pretty nice, I think. Nothing real fancy on it. Some pinstriping on the side, just a silver border there. Duart, which is actually Duart Lake, which is the lake I was raised on, that my mom lives on. I sometimes put that on these because when I was a little kid, and I've told you this story before, that the local boat company, Rinkerbilt, used to test. They had a race team, and they used to test their tunnel hauls on my mom's lake during the week because it's like glass out there. Nobody's ever out there during the week. And so it's nostalgia. The first RC boat I ever built in my life was a Mach 1, I think. Mach 1, Mach 3, can't remember. Tunnel hull with a K&B 3.5 outboard. Now, you guys have seen the Lucky shit. This is a boat that I restored, well, completely redid. Put my little Leprechaun in there. It's the Lucky shit. And this one has a 3.5 K&B on it. I always have a nitro tunnel hull in my fleet. I run them maybe once a year, just for fun. Just it's nostalgia. But anyway, that was a long-winded explanation why the Duart thing is on here. So this decal here changes colors, I think, in the sun, and I just my usual thing. Nothing fancy. I did paint the windshield. That is because it was a pain in the ass to cut vinyl for. Did some outline. Now, how I did the back, they say in the manual to go ahead and use Velcro or screws, whichever you want to do. I use this stuff. It's called Dual Lock, and I did put it on my Amazon list that's in the video down there. Or, I'm sorry, in the description down there. And this stuff is phenomenal. If you remember, if you're a kid that grew up in the late 70s and 80s, we had toys called bristle blocks. And this is what that reminds me of. It's a tape. It's made by 3M, Dual Lock. And it's not cheap, $16 a roll, but it really just works great. So all I did, put some right there. That's a lip that just lips onto the front. That's in the manual to do that. Now they supply you wood. I just made a 3D printed lip, no big deal. Same principle. And then put some of this stuff in there. We slide the lip on, push down, and squeeze. And she's done. So turned out really nice. I think it's a very sexy looking boat for a tunnel. So congratulations, Joe. I think this is a really cool looking duck. And not because I did it, just the design itself. I like the long nose. I like the higher canopy. If you look at traditional, like this is an open cockpit, it's still an awesome boat, don't get me wrong, but this is what we're used to. Whereas this is a little bit more new, modern looking. Very cool. I love it. I hope it runs as good as it looks. So, and the paint job turned out okay, for outdoor paint. It worked out, okay. So, you remember I put my buddy, his company sticker in here. And I put tape over. This is sealed, but just for fun, just to be funny. This boat stand, this is a stand for a nitro tunnel. I bought a used tunnel, nitro tunnel, years ago off eBay to restore, and it came with this super awesome homemade wooden stand. And I don't have the boat anymore, but I kept that damn stand. That thing's awesome. Radio box. I just taped it up. I did put extra foam in there just for fun because I'm not going to use it at all. We're going to be putting our servo in, our battery tray, speed controller, and all that good stuff. And unfortunately, we won't be seeing my buddy's decal anymore, but it'll always be there in spirit. For the nitro, if you're setting this up for a nitro, you do put the steering servo up here in the dry well or the battery box. For electric, you put it right back here. Now, what they advise you do in the manual is you glue in a rail, and then put the servo plate in there, and you're done. Servo mounts to the side. I'm doing mine a little bit different, more traditional, if you will. I'm going to put a push-pull on mine. And I 3D printed a little, hopefully the damn thing fits. Hang on. All right, so I conformal coated my servo to give it a little bit of extra water protection. And I did put that in my list on Amazon, so if you guys want to see it or buy it. So that's a pretty good fit. All right. Just whipped this up this morning, printed it out. Okay. And then I can mount this. My original plan was just to put it like that. However, we'll glue it in, but we need to mount that motor first. And then I'm going to put in my battery tray too, so it's not exactly a stock machine. So for the motors, let me grab them. I have a bunch of these old dogs laying around. One of them's on my boat. This one's just a spare. It's KMB 3.5. Now, so the conversion kit for the electrics, you take off the nitro engine, and there's a kit for the lower unit. This is the kit. I'm sure you can get it from, maybe Joe is the only one. I don't know, but I get these from Zippkits. Hang on, be right back. Sorry about that. But anyway, Zippkits has these. I don't know who else does. I'm not a big builder of electric outboards, so it's gonna be. I've built one before. I ran it like one time and sold it. It's like, okay, I'm done. It was an ML Boatworks, but so I'd already had one of these. So I took. Here's mine that I made. All right, so it's the same lower unit as a KMB 3.5 normal. All right. Although these things are old, very old. And so I stripped it down. I painted it. I clear coated it. We have the recommended prop from Zip on there. It's a 4014 3-blade. I think that's right. I don't know. Double check. And there's the conversion kit. And I'm using a Leopard motor, which I'm a huge fan of Leopard motors. Love them. It's all I use in my electrics. It's a 3660. So it's a 36 millimeters in diameter, 60 millimeters long. And it's a 2050 kV. So 2050 RPM per volt. So it's not too bad. It should be fine. I pulled this out of an ML hydroplane that I didn't care for anymore. So there's that. I redid the water line. I also took the whole thing apart. I need to get a low profile screw for this. And I retapped the entire thing for metric. Because these are old school Americana stuff. And no. So, this swivel is not original either. The original swivels are aluminum, and this also comes from Zippkits. This is a Devlon CNC milled, and the thing that's nice about this, super light, super strong because it's like nylon, and it's also very slick. Very little friction there. So, what's interesting though is I'm used to. I'll show you on this other tunnel. You see that transom mount? Okay. It has an angle for in and up and down. You can't see the up and down too good. These do not. So I guess if you do have to change the angle of attack this way, I guess you have to shim it. Hopefully I didn't build anything crooked and it'll be just fine. That's my goal. So let's see. And the water cooling for the nitro version of this shoots up the pitot tube here, goes up to here, and then goes in through the head of the nitro engine and spits it out. In our case, same principle. It's going to go up, then it's going to come out. We're going to put another tube going to the ESC, and then from the ESC right back out of the boat. So, which I did forget I have to do. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is when you build this kit, The outside does have 4 holes. The inside does not. So we have to drill those through and mount this guy. So the directions say center line of prop shaft should be 1/4 of an inch above. That can't be right. Yeah, I guess it is. 1/4 of an inch above the bottoms of the sponsons. I'm going to get it close because for right now, all I want to do is I want to get my servo plate set up and the distance is right on that. Okay, I'm not going to dial it in just yet. So I'm going to finish drilling those 4 holes out, slap some bolts through there, and then we're going to measure up and get our servo in there. So be right back. Okie dokie. So the first thing I do with these, hopefully you can hear me okay, I'm actually sitting down. I take 2 440 pieces of rod, okay? And I have 440 clevises here. Well, at least I did. Yeah, they are. Okay. Now, they come with little springs, and these are detent springs to keep them latched. I don't use those. I do the old-fashioned way with fuel tubing. I know it's very 80s, but it works better than these light springs. So what I do is I will insert one a little bit beyond. Then what I do is I crimp it. At least I try to. Alright. It's a little wiggly, but it's not going to go anywhere. Okay? Then I heat it up with a torch at a downward angle. Okay? I'm going to take flux and solder. We're going to heat this guy up. We're going to try not to light our boat on fire. Just propane, nothing fancy. And that's it. That little dude, ouch, shit, that's hot, is on there forever. Okay, so that's a little bit much. Over slopped it. Okay, so I'm just going to dip that in my roto twister. It'll be fine. All right. Then what you do is you take 2 little pieces. Do this. Don't forget this part. 2 little pieces about. You can use silicone tubing or fuel line. I might use silicone actually. And you slide 2 of them on because these are going to slide over and lock. I'm going to use something a little bit more flexible. This is fuel line. Make sure you put those on before you solder on the other piece. Or you can always, after the fact, use little baby zip strips or something, but you'll see what I mean. So I'm going to go ahead and finish these up. Now, once you get one complete, normally what you want to do, in my opinion, is buy 2 of these that are threaded and 2 that aren't. And then you buy 440 rod, like from most boat supply places, has a threaded on one side, and an open on the other. And what I'll do is I'll solder the closed side, obviously, and the threaded side is nice because then you can adjust it. In this case, I can't do that because I don't have any threaded spring clips, so that's my fault. But that's okay. So what we're going to do then, after we make one, so we're going to put on 2 pieces of rubber, silicone, whatever. We're going to solder our other clevis on, and then we're going to make both of these the exact same size, if possible. Okay? Now, if they're a mil or 2 off, it's not going to hurt anything. Okay? But you want them to be as close as humanly possible. So if you want to measure them, do whatever you want to do. As long as you crimp them first, like I did, it's usually pretty easy to make them the exact same size. So I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of this, and I'll show you the end result. Be right back. All right, so we've got 2 of them done, and that's what the solder joint should look like. Sorry, it's been a while since I've done clevis soldering. So looks like we're about identical. A little bit of a twist on this one, but there's some play. We're not talking, it's not the space shuttle. It's not. I'm going to be down to the, micron, I should say. The next thing I usually do, now, outboards don't need a ton of throw, so I'm going to take that off. I'm going to count back 2 holes, 1, 2, Okay, then I'm going to open these up. This is a Dremel bit, but you can use a drill bit. Just a little bit. Okay. It seems like they never quite fit. Now I should have made that shorter. See that screw up right there? I wasn't thinking, I was just adjusting, and so we need to make sure that that's not going to interfere. That was my fault. I was paying too much attention to one attribute of the problem and not enough to the other. Yep, see, that's going to interfere. Damn it. So I'm going to have to heat this up and take it back down. Did I do that with the other one too? Nope, other one's fine. Alright, but you see what I mean? That's too close in there. So this is 440 rod. I can't just bend it out and cut it. It's really hard. So I'll just heat it back up and chop it, do it the proper way, I guess. So be right back. Now that I'm done with my moron moment, now we're good. So you see the point of the silicone is to do that. Alright, so what I usually do is I make sure, if you spread these out, you can see I usually put the peg end in the top. Okay, just like that. And then you slide these over, and that keeps them from, in case you hit something or there's some kind of super strong tension. You'll be okay. It won't, because I have had these pull off. I'm not a huge fan of these old school. I mean, you could use pivot clevises and things like that, but it's such a short throw. I'm not really worried about it. Okay. Now what we're going to do is I did make it long. All right, a little bit extra because I haven't put in my servo yet, so we're going to make sure it's visually centered. It does not have to be electrically centered yet. Okay, and then I'm going to hook one up. Just like that. Now, what you've got, I'm pretty close, right? Now, I can change this, make it so I don't have any drag. Now, the way I designed this little shelf, if you will, is I can still reach the motor bolts from underneath. So that's pretty simple. You can see how that's going to work out. Okay. Now there is a little gradual rubbing right there. It's like 1/8 of a mil. I'm not too concerned about it. Make sure our servo's down. Okay. And this doesn't matter if this sticks up. It's sticking up a little bit. I didn't measure it super close when I designed the print. It was just kind of like whatever. Because the cowl's gonna cover it. All right. So what we're gonna do now is I'm gonna go ahead and mark the sides. Okay. You don't even have to. And then I'm going to scuff up this piece of plastic. And we're going to put epoxy in there. I'm just going to epoxy it in. I mean, pretty straightforward. Because this is all squared up, I mean, you could damn near CA this, and it would still be totally fine. But, you know. So this is going to be a push-pull. More than enough throw. Okay. And we'll screw down the servo and all that good shit. Okay. So let me go ahead and epoxy this in. Be right back. All right, and we're back. So I'm not even going to worry about putting the screw into that servo just yet. We've epoxied this in there. Everything's good there. So, and I did just basically all I did was put these in, bend it down a little bit, and it just gave me a nice radius right there, so it's not rubbing. Be fine. All right. So, the one thing I don't love about this is the fact that there's not a, excuse me, burnt my thumb, that there's not an easy outlet for the water. But if you see in this Delron mount, there's a bit of a hole there. It looks like it fit a piece of silicone just fine. So what we're going to do, we're going to bring the water in through the prop pitot, up here, through the motor. We're going to bring it in through the cowl, through the ESC, and in the ESC we're going to make a tube go under the servo. I'm going to 3D print a little mount right here just to kind of hold that tube, and then bring it right out there to spit it out. So I think that's the answer for the day. Now, the ESC we're going to use is this Jack Nasty. This is also out of the same boat as this one is. I don't get too attached to electric boats, so I have no problem yanking them out. So, before we get too excited, let's do our center of gravity mark. So the instructions say 9 inches from the rear, which is right about here-ish. Okay? Not the space shuttle. You don't have to have it down to the millimeter, but since there's no adjustment on this, all right? So, now what I can do, how do I want to do this? I don't like this here. I wish I would have realized that before. All right, so these are way too long. These are out of the old boat, but that's okay. I really don't care. That's fine. And here's my battery bracket. So we got to fit that in there first. And here is our actual battery. Now this is the battery mount that I make, that I 3D print for these. It fits pretty good. All right. Maybe we should go vertical with this one. I think I might change this for this particular boat. Maybe go this way instead of that way. I don't know. So I guess the rule of the story here, these can be cut back down. They might not even be soldered. Looks like I just did a joint there. These can easily be cut back down, so we'll probably do that. And we're going to mount that piggy right about there. So let's grab some line, some of this old clear line here. Okay, so just for giggles, let's cut this nice and straight. Alright, so it's the output of the motor. Output of the motor can go through here, or above it. It'd be nicer to go, well, I don't want it to kink though. I'll probably just put a 3D mount there, just let it ride over the servo. It's not going to hurt anything. Underneath will be cleaner. Let me get under there with some hemostats, these guys. And I'm going to pull that through. I think it'll be cleaner. Hang on. Alright, actually I didn't use the hemostats. What I did was I take a zip strip. I do this a lot. And I'll stick it in the cooling line. And I'll curl the end. And you guys have seen me do this a million times. I'll take a straight edge. Curl it like that. And then I slide it through. And then I pull it through. It's kind of like snaking a wire through a wall. Alright? So there we go. So there's our input. And I want this to be pretty much as close to here as it can go. That way I have room. So this does not need to be long. This only needs to be about that long. I'll make it work, don't worry. Okay. Then we're going to loop that. This is just a return. So it's going through the jacket, coming around, and then it's going to go to right about there. Capacitor. Okay. Just like that. And I might make that smaller. That's a little excessive.
It's never over.
And I might make that smaller too. Okay. Then our output, exact same principle, so let's do it in practice. Alright. So, we're going to take this, stick it in there like that. If you ever need snake silicone, this is a great way to do it. Tubing. Go under my servo, and I just pull it through like this. Okay, beauty. We'll zip strip all this crap up when we're done. Then, I'm a-thinking, pull this up. Alright, and then we just bring this through this Delron here. Then, it's not that extreme. I mean, it might look it on video, but what we'll do, I'm going to cut it like right to here for now. And then on the other end, this is the output. On the other end, I'll put a little zip strip. Not tight, but just to keep it from popping back through this Delron. Okay? And then we've got these leads, which are braided, by the way. That's a hell of a resistor there. I braided them on the other boat. It works all right. Now, one of the things I'm probably going to do once we figure out which way's forward, which way's backward, I don't like that braid. I mean, the braid itself's fine. I just do that so I don't have to cut the wires. But what we're going to do, I need a little bit more room. So we're going to undo to there. Okay. Easy peasy. Now, here's the drawback of doing it the way I'm doing it. Okay. Because on a tunnel, especially like this, it's all sealed up. You know, where do you put the water out? Now, what they do in the manual is they have a brass tube going in this end. Read the manual. Brass tube going in, brass tube going out, and that's fine. But the problem is you still can't see when you're running if the water's circulating. And I won't be able to see it with my idea either. But you know what? If it burns up, you know it broke. Now, what I could do is I could be real sneaky, and I could bring these motor wires through the through here. But that just gets too hairy. I'm not even going to worry about it. Because we're going to do something different with this. Okay. That doesn't look too bad. Alright. It's going through our Delron. We're going to cut this down. This is just bugging me already. So we're going to cut it to about here. Okay. Good. That looks copacetic. Alright. Good. Then we've got plenty of room for a battery tray, which I might still redesign. I mean, we're not going to have much choice with center of gravity. You're going to be like, dink, dink. You know, not a heck of a lot. And these are way too long. I need to shorten these. These are the last boat this thing was in, you really had to have it. Now, this needs to be run through as well. Not really sure how the fuck that ended up that way, but that's okay. We'll bring that through the bottom later. And this, I mean, pretty much just has to go right there. Now, do I want to use that mount, or do I want to design one that does it like this? You got to remember, our cowl's like this high, so we have plenty of room. And all I have to do is take this existing print and just shrink it. It'll be totally fine. Yeah, I think that's what we're going to do. I don't love this. I have to put a little barrier here, but it's... let's see. Let me see. Sometimes... So if we put it in like this... Okay. I mean, it does fit nice. Well, I don't know. Keeps our center of gravity square. I kind of like it. I think we'll just leave it like it is, honestly. And I'll just shorten these way up. I'll just cut them like right here. Cut them off at the kneecaps. And we'll have a nice 4S setup. Let's see where our CG is. Huh. Dang near. It's a little bit right there. Not bad. So, and that's where our mark was, and this is where my finger... So my fingers are about 1/4 of an inch behind. So that's not too bad. What I can do, since I'm not using this radio box, let me show you. what I did. Just today when I was dicking around doing 3D prints and waiting for the mail to come, I just poured a little bit of foam in there. No big deal. But what we could do, if needed, we could put a little bit of weight in there. If it needs it, we're going to see how it runs. I mean, I have no freaking idea. Now, let's not forget we have a receiver. And that receiver is going to go right here on our donkey face. Which is fine. I mean, the receiver is easy enough. Okay. And I have to resolder this because I bought these batteries off my buddy JJ Horvath. And it's like, really? Fucking Dean's connectors? And these are great batteries. These are Gens Ace. I love these. 5,000 milliamp 4S, but he's like, I know, that's the only way they come. It's like, I'd rather them come with bare wires than a Dean's connector. Dean's connectors are these. They have more resistance than the Rebel Alliance. I mean, seriously, it's freaking terrible. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a receiver and we're going to plop it right under here. I need to figure out how I want to mount this guy. Literally, I can take that super tape I use, put a little piece of it right here, and it'll stay there forever. I'm seriously not worried about it. But I'm not going to mount it yet until I cut these down. And it's probably going to be cut down right there. Okay? As a matter of fact, to prove it to you, we're going to cut it. And this is, like I said, what is this? 150 amp OSE. That's what I use on almost every single electric boat I do. And I know on my channel I don't do a lot of electric boats, but I do have a lot of electric boats. I'm just not into them. And then we can put our cap right there. I love these ESCs. They're freaking quality, man. They're really nice. And actually in the manual to this boat, I believe Joe from Zippkits even is showing one of these in there. And then once we get our direction right on this, so it's going the right way, we're going to I think I'm going to make this look a little neater and put some nice heat shrink around it, so it's just 3 big wires hanging out. But other than that, I mean, I think it's pretty well done. The receiver is very, very basic. We're gonna probably put the receiver right here, like literally, or yeah, it's pretty much where it has to go. There's really no other options. And we'll put our battery there. And I have to rewire these batteries because Dean's connectors are gay.
Can I ask you a personal question? Sure. Ever get an erection over a woman?
Yeah. And we're just gonna put that battery right there. I mean, that's really all there is to it. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take some CA, and I know you're thinking it's like CA glue on a battery. Trust me, it'll work fine. This battery's not going to move much. And we're going to put it just like that. Hold it down for a sec. And if I do need to move it for anything, it'll pop right off. It's enough to hold it in the boat, but it won't fly out during turbulence. Okay? And we've got plenty of room for a receiver right there. And we just put this guy in here. Okay? Perfect. Alright? So let's stuff all this shit together. I want to see what this thing looks like put together here. I'm excited about this boat, actually, which is... You're hired. Which is pretty interesting for me, because I'm not an electric boat guy. I've built a lot of them, but it just really doesn't do it for me. I'm not an electric racer. Or even driver. Like I said, unless I'm grilling burgers, I could care less. So let's put this where it's supposed to go. Don't underestimate that dual lock crap. It's really good. Okay. Alright. So that's what she looks like. Little plain. I didn't go real heavy on the decals on this one. And we're going to put some heat shrink around there. Servos there. Yeah. I think she's going to rock. So we're going to do one more video. It might be later tonight, but I do have some stuff I need to figure out. And but the next one's gonna be real quick. Nothing to it. That's it. We're gonna neaten this stuff up, do my solder connections, mount the ESC, you know, whatever. It's gonna be pretty simple. I gotta zero my servo, which I've showed you in other videos. Get yourself a servo tester. I put it on my Amazon link. This one does work okay. I bitch about it, I know, but it's fine. I've glued a magnet on the back so I can stick it on my Indian motorcycle sign there. But zero your servo, and then just that's it. Put it down, screw it in. You're good, okay? And the ESC, once you connect everything, you zero your ESC or calibrate it. Make sure that your fail-safe's working. We'll do that before the maiden. That's kind of the maiden videos that I do the fail-safes and all that stuff in. But I need to resolder all these connections, which won't take me too long. So anyway, that's enough for today. Thanks for hanging out, kids. Keep dry side up. Don't burn yourself. Bye.
Relax, don't do it when you want to go to it. Relax, don't do it when you want to come. Relax, don't do it when you want to suck it to it.